Hey guys, we're back with Unwrapping the Pharaohs, lesson number 3, the Lost Pyramid. Okay. Last we talked about the step pyramids built by Zoser, right, in the third dynasty. And that was actually located on the Saqqara Plateau. And for a very long time, there was no other pyramids from the third dynasty that was there. And they were looking for it, other things, and they're doing research and excavations. And there was a archaeologist who was working in the area. His name was Zachariah Gonaim. Okay, Zachariah was born in 1905 and died in 1959. At the very beginning of his career, he started out in the Saqqara Plateau in 1937. He was appointed an assistant archaeologist for the area and was just kind of doing normal low-level archaeologist kind of stuff, you know. And he, at one point, he's working on the causeway to the Pyramid of Unas, who was the last king of the 5th dynasty. Eventually, as his career moves on, he gets promoted and becomes chief inspector of antiquities for Upper Egypt and has to move. He relocates to the Luxor in the south. So, he's doing his thing. Several years later, again, remember he started his career in 1937, but in 1951, he's promoted again and gets transferred back to the Saqqara Plateau in that 1951 and becomes the chief inspector of antiquities. He's responsible for all the protection and preservation of all the antiquities and everything they find in the area. And as he's doing his job and his work, he starts to come up with this theory, right? And he's, very familiar with the plateau, the Saqqara area, and eventually he states that it seems strange to me that in this, the most important necropolis of Memphis, there is only one monument which can definitely be ascribed to a third dynasty king. He just thinks that's not right. He's an expert in his field. He understands the area. He's been doing this for several years now, and all of a sudden, he's just like, this isn't right. Something's not right. So he decides to run with this theory, and he set out to find this, what he called the Lost Pyramid. And there was a lot of skepticism for him at this point. Many people have been working in this area for many years, and everybody kind of thought he might be a little crazy. But he decided, I'm going to do the research, I'm going to look into it. And fortunately for him, he was in a position where, he's higher up the food chain, so to speak, and so he could take the time and effort to look at what he wanted to do. So first thing he does is he makes a detailed examination of the archaeological areas from north to south. He secured the areas around the pyramids and looked all over the place and had no success. Then he makes a map indicating, he looks at the map some more and he finds a spot that's a natural plateau. It has an oblong terrace, and he thought it was defined to be natural. Just a normal geographical spot there, but he thought, maybe it's not. So he received permission to excavate the area. During his excavation, he initially finds a massive wall that's 66 feet wide and 26 feet deep. Eventually, he finds 4 corners measuring 1,690 feet long and 591 feet wide. Then he finds another wall, and he's tracing that wall, and eventually it leads to nowhere. So he's got nothing. For all his effort and years of working so far, he's got nothing. He does find some evidence of grave robbers in the area. And so he continues to work and continues to look, and you can read the story in the book, hopefully you will. And eventually he finds the pyramid, to everybody's surprise. So in 1953, he finds the pyramid. However, it was never finished. It was only 23 feet tall. He found an intact tomb chamber, and inside there was 21 gold bracelets and armlets, and poetry with the name Sekhemket. And he found the sarcophagus. Inside the tomb or the sarcophagus, he looks at the sarcophagus and he finds that it's alabaster and it's withered remains of a wreath and things, but there's no sign of disturbance. So he opens it up and it was empty. What he finally decides is it was a dummy burial. Remember, the Egyptians are trying to protect their kings in the afterlife, and so they would do these dummy burials and try to deceive people as to where the king really is truly buried. And so these dummy burials, it was the kings of the first and second dynasty have burial places at Saqqara and Abydos, but can't be both places, okay? And so they're trying to figure it out. And then you have Seneferu, who was the first king of the fourth dynasty, who built the 3 pyramids. And they thought he was in different places, but of course he can't be buried in all 3. So based on all this evidence and different things, he just decides, he found his pyramid, but it was just a dummy burial. It was a lost pyramid, and he did find it. He gets credit for finding it, and he did find some artifacts, but ultimately there was nothing of real significance there.